Funny enough, as we kick off today's video, we have the three OG OCs who are now all paywall sitting in the world event. A happy Eid or Eid Mubarak to everybody out there who follows it. Let's dive into the sneak peek from a few days ago and the sneak peek that just dropped last night. So we got this sneak peek that I didn't cover at the time for Crescent. We can go over to Twitter and see that they said the following: a masked spirit stirs and Crescent is up to something. What tricks, lies beneath the surface? And then recently they had, last night they had the teaser for the sneak peek for the other April Fool's uniform, which is Ancient One. The Ancient One's wisdom conceals unexpected surprises. What secrets will unfold this April Fool's? So for Crescent, it's pretty cool. This is the sneak peek. You got a full modeled one. It's quite nice. She's doing some, she's doing some taekwondo in the streets of New York, it looks like, or something like that. There's a Tesla behind her. I don't know what's going on. But what's nice here is you have the T in the sky, and then 4 stars fall. So it's, it's obscure enough, or it's kind of vague enough to require a little bit of work, but it's quite nice. It's quite nice. So yeah. And as you can see there, it seems like she's grown up. She's been not de-aged, but re-aged, like reverse Benjamin Buttoned, up to what looks like, I don't know, a teenager or something like that. And she's got a different outfit, whatever. And Io looks the same because it's a ghost bear. And then for Ancient One, unfortunately, we just get a slideshow. So we get the classic slideshow. It's got a little bit more like glitching than usual. I'm not really sure what the point of the glitching is, but yeah, there you go. Ancient One as a man. Ancient One as Johnny Sins, more like it. I don't know what the we get. I understand what the April Fool's is here, and again, April Fool's is kind of like a nebulous concept, but the whole idea is that there's a joke or there's some sort of deviation from the norm, right? Because that's most of the time what jokes are, is to point out something unexpected or whatever. So what's unexpected here is, oh, Crescent's not a kid anymore. She's like a teenager. She's like 2 or 3 times the size, whatever, right? So were they going to de-age Ancient One? I guess they did de-age Ancient One. They just used, buccal, the buccal fat removal and a little bit of Botox and whatever. But it's just a little weird, right? It's just a little weird. They basically just gave us, what if Johnny Sins was Ancient One? What if Ancient One took steroids from a young age? What if Ancient One was a bodybuilder and a looks maxer and into mewing, right? What if Ancient One was into mewing? So all of these questions that I don't think anyone ever asked are now being answered. What if Ancient One was aura farming and mean mugging, based on their, elite jawline? What if Ancient One had jawline reconstructive surgery? I don't know. I don't get it. I think a lot of people just don't get it with Ancient One. Ancient One could be really good. I'm not disappointed that it is Ancient One. I'm just disappointed with the kind of laziness of the design. I think Crescent's design genuinely looks cool. It looks like a Nike campaign or something. It looks cool. This, I don't know what this, again, this looks like what if Johnny Sins was doing a movie where he's Ancient One. That's what it looks like. I'm not gonna lie. That's what it looks like. And it's kind of mid. And that's the thing, especially with the seasonal uniforms. Remember, guys, these are full cost. For Ancient One, it's a full cost uniform. Crescent's is going to be paywall, we know, but Ancient One's going to be full cost. And this is the other Ancient One uniform that we had, along with the yellow and then this one. So they basically just took some of this and some of this and just ripped off the arms and did a couple of, quick passes, and boom, you have this. So pretty uninspired, pretty lazy, I would say, in my opinion. Not a big fan of that. So yeah, unfortunately, that is what it is. I'll talk a little bit about I guess I can talk about it now. The other thing that's disappointing for Ancient One specifically is we had other looks. So for Crescent, there weren't really other looks because she doesn't get featured a lot in comics. She's, she was invented for Marvel Future Fight first. So you can understand if the devs kind of phoned it in on this one. And they actually didn't, right? Kudos to Danny Koo and whoever else designed this. They did a great job. But for Ancient One, you have other versions of Ancient One. There's tons of different versions, right? Ancient One is not always the same person. It's sort of like a Buddhism reincarnation kind of vibe where different people become the Ancient One. Ancient One is more of a title, not a specific person every single time. And so this, for example, Yao is one version, a young version of Ancient One that could have been featured, right? And there's even one here that kind of, I think they die, but they lose an arm. So we could have had a we could have had a young one-armed Ancient One. How cool would that have been with a piece of wheat in their mouth? That's sick, right? Instead, we get just, you know, some muscular young version of this, which is kind of lame. But there are even still more versions of Ancient One. Yes, this is, I also believe, Yao, but when they're very, very old. But look at this version of Ancient One. I know that it's kind of like a low-res photo, so I apologize. Like, it's not very, you can't really see exactly what's going on. But just as far as the design goes, right, this is something we've never seen before. Again, these April Fool's uniforms are supposed to be very off the wall and very unexpected, and also feature designs that we've never seen before. We're basically getting, yes, we're getting like muscular Ancient One, which is so unique because Ancient One's usually skinny, but that's basically it, right? Because we already have male Ancient One. We already have that, right? But we didn't have Ancient One dressed like this, right? Dressed like, I don't know, whatever. This is like a Victorian butler or whatever. It just looks cool, man. It just looks cool. So yeah, forget the stuff behind them. That's a whole other thing. But I don't know. This is kind of what's upsetting people more, is that there were options. It's not like there were no options for Ancient One and they just had to do what they had to do. There were options. And I guess one of the options is muscular young one. I don't know, man. Maybe they thought it was hilarious that they're called Ancient One, but they don't look ancient. Who knows what the comedy routine over at Netmarble is? Hey, maybe some of those guys think Hawkeye was a good tier 4. That probably explains a lot, right? That probably, hey, that they think Daredevil is a top tier PvP unit. Hey, that explains a lot. It's actually starting to make a lot of sense. So I'm not commenting on the quality of the performance of these uniforms. I'm just commenting on the decision to make this a full cost uniform. Again, you really have to sell these because they cost more. What is the incentive here to pay almost 2,000 crystals for Johnny Sins cosplaying as Ancient One? I don't know. I'm really not sure. And so I think for Ancient One, I'm going to make a prediction here. I think Ancient One may end up being a really good target for this kind of tier 4 them, but skip the uniform kind of vibe. And this is kind of the opposite of Storm, because with Storm, in order to get the support value, you have to buy the paywall uniform, which is disappointing. And so then the tier 4 just kind of insists on itself. But with Ancient One, they already have the support, right? All allies, look at this. All allies get 30% all res, which is not so good for PvP right now because Jean Grey and other elemental damage dealers are not on top. But it's still decent against Ghost Rider and Jean. And it'll be better when elemental dealers, you know, come back to the PvP meta. But then the big ones there at the bottom, 30% ignore dodge, which is nice, and 40% elemental damage. So 40% elemental damage is not too far off from Storm's 55%. So you basically have Storm at home in this new Ancient One. Well, in the existing Ancient One, I should say. Now, the new uniform may improve on these support buffs, absolutely. So it's not a lock that you would tier 4 Ancient One without it. But remember, Ancient One also gives Blast type allies 50% energy attack, so you have a lead and support. Better even than Cyclops for the vast majority of situations. And so it could be an option to tier 4 Ancient One for the tier 4 support buffs without getting the new uniform. But obviously we have to wait and see how good the new uniform is and what improvements, if any, it makes to the support ability. Because Ancient One, a lot of people forget, Ancient One has Reflect. And so I don't know where the Reflect is specifically. Oh, there you go. Reflects 35% of energy damage received. So Ancient One does have kind of PvP bones. Some PvP bones. Some. Not a lot. Not big ones, right? But because of that, it should be interesting to see if Ancient One, gets tilted more towards like a support slash PvP hybrid, or full support, or PvE slash support. We'll have to wait and see. But for those people that are confused because they thought, oh, Ancient One's not going to get a tier 4 as well, they're not going to release 5 tier 4s. Well, let's take a look at the wording over on the forums. This little Taekwondo, this is Crescent now. This little Taekwondo genius who has set off on a quest with a spirit that has been dwelling in her mask has made a new attempt in celebration of April Fools, the new hobby of the prodigy. Check out the new looks and abilities of this superhero. So the new look is the uniform, and the abilities is the tier 4. And we know for sure Crescent's getting a tier 4 because of the way that the sneak peek is worded, right? Then, also they mentioned her artifact. They're not talking about her artifact in-game. Her artifact in-game already exists. It's pretty mid. It's the same one as like Gore and Jean and stuff. It's just increased damage to heroes and villains. Not talking about that artifact. So then for Ancient One, this superhero who has raised disciples in Camartage for generations has returned with a new look in celebration of April Fools in another multiverse. Check out the new looks and abilities of this hero who defends the Earth as a master of the mystic arts. And then, of course, the classic like patch details. Patch details are coming tonight, guys, so tomorrow's video will be about the patch notes. But again, the new looks and abilities. So that means a new uniform and a tier 4 because Ancient One already has tier 3. So yes, we should be getting not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 tier 4s in one update cycle from Daredevil to Ancient One. 3 combats, 1 speed, and 1 blast. Interesting combo. But yeah, that's essentially it. That's caught you up on all of the sneak peek news and all of the kind of takes around the community, at least that I've seen. I think people who like Crescent are reasonably excited for this because it looks cool, and it also represents sort of the one thing that I didn't touch on, which I think that most people are talking about, is we're finally getting a combat female tier 4. Yes, it's finally happening, guys. The spell is broken. I think we now have all types, quote unquote, of tier 4s, like male, female tier 4 of each of the 4 typings. I don't know if we have literally every subtyping as tier 4 because we're missing things like, other or creature or whatever. We may actually have those as well because Hulkbuster got a tier 4. But you sort of get what I'm saying. Almost all of, or basically all of the, subtypings that are relevant for content now have a tier 4 to their name, with the last one being combat female for that 1 day of ABX. Talk about value, folks. Talk about value. Anyways, guys, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. I'll have the patch note video for you guys tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow night, I will see you here live on stream to probably day 1 tier 4, at least one of these bad boys, because I am interested in both of them for their respective impacts on the meta, and hopefully they do have, fingers crossed, hopefully they do have meta impact. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the content. Eid Mubarak one more time, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.